The death of Alexei Navalny sparked outrage and indignation in the European Union, and everyone blames the same person, Vladimir Putin. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, says the Russian president fears nothing more than dissent from his own people. Roberta Metsola, president of the European Parliament, calls him a fighter whose courage will echo through generations, stating that Russia took his freedom and his life, but not his dignity. EU President Charles Michel holds the Russian regime solely responsible for the death of the Russian dissident who fought for the values of freedom and democracy. Members of the European Parliament are also on the same page.
With Navalny has died one of our last hopes, to have a relation between a democratic Russia and our Europe. And that's what we all wanted in the past. With him goes this opportunity, unfortunately. It's a very sad occasion, also for us Europeans.
Alexei Navalny was given the Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought, the highest honour from the European Parliament in 2021, whilst he was in prison. His daughter, Daria Navalnaya, accepted the prize on his behalf.
The White House has been trying to calm public concerns regarding an alleged Russian nuclear anti-satellite system. National Security spokesperson John Kirby said the new system was still in development stages. He confirmed that the Russian project had anti-satellite capabilities, but added it didn't pose any threat to humans or materials on the surface of the planet.
This is not an active capability that's been deployed. And though Russia's pursuit of this particular capability is troubling, there is no immediate threat to anyone's safety. We are not talking about a weapon that can be used to attack human beings or cause physical destruction here on Earth. That said, we've been closely monitoring this Russian activity, and we will continue to take it very seriously.
According to U.S. media, many experts are wary that the main targets of the Russian system would be U.S. satellites that provide communication and control over their nuclear arsenal. It is not clear if the system would use nuclear weapons to shoot down the satellites or only use it as a power source. Moscow has slammed the claims. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov described them as a ruse intended to make the U.S. Congress support aid bills for Ukraine.
Diplomats, politicians, and businessmen discussed the reconstruction of Ukraine during a conference in Athens. This will be one of the biggest post-war development projects at the European level. The European Union and the European Investment Bank have provided significant financing for the reconstruction of Ukraine, amounting to 70 billion euros.
We do have very important projects in the transport sector, rail transport, and also the rehabilitation of roads. This is important for the exports, but this is also important to make sure that people can move within the country. Sometimes new roads save lives because people can be evacuated from the front. We do have water projects, which are quite important as well, because the water infrastructure is severely damaged. And then we do support the small and medium enterprises through the local banks.
According to a joint estimate of the World Bank, the European Commission, the UN, and the Ukrainian government, the cost of reconstruction is expected to reach $411 billion.
Ми вдячні за те, що Греція вже зараз здійснює практичні кроки та всебічно підтримує Україну. Я запрошую як грецьких, так і міжнародних інвесторів та приватні компанії, які мають бачення щодо реалізації конкретних проєктів в Україні, інвестувати на благо не тільки України, але й свого бізнесу. Дякую за увагу.
Athens has also expressed its support toward the reconstruction of Ukraine.
Επιθυμούμε μια Ουκρανία η οποία να είναι κοντά στην Ευρώπη και ασφαλώς θέλουμε να πάρουμε μια θέση στην ανοικοδόμηση της χώρας. Είμαστε παρόντες στη βοήθεια, στην υποστήριξη πολιτικών και οικονομικών θέσεων και θέλουμε να πάρουμε μια θέση σε ό,τι αφορά την ανοικοδόμηση των υποδομών της χώρας.
Η ανοικοδόμηση της Ουκρανίας θα είναι ένα έργο για περισσότερες από μία γενιά. Η επίγουσα επέμβαση ξεκίνησε από τους πρώτους μήνες του πολέμου, αλλά η δουλειά που απαιτείται για την ανοικοδόμηση της χώρας θα είναι τόσο μεγάλη όσο η μάχη που δίνεται στην πρώτη γραμμή. Από την Αθήνα για το Euronews, Φέη Δουλγέρη.
At least 3 workers are dead and 2 missing after a supermarket under construction in Florence collapsed. There were about 50 workers on site at the time of the accident. According to the union representatives, the victims and the injured were metal workers doing work outside of their remit.
Confermo che non avevano, laddove fossero degli operai metalmeccanici, una formazione specifica per poter svolgere delle mansioni all'interno di un cantiere edile. Sappiamo soltanto purtroppo che sono dei padri di famiglia che non torneranno a casa dalle loro famiglie stasera.
Italy's 3 largest unions have called for a general strike in Tuscany to demand better safety measures. In 2021, Italy registered 601 workplace deaths, the second highest figure in the EU after France.
The Swiss government plans to increase the defense budget by 19% over the next 4 years. According to Defense Minister Vaila Ahmed, the first woman to hold the post, the result of cost-cutting measures over the last 30 years has weakened the armed forces. Such a ramp-up is in line with what most European countries have been doing since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It was in fact the increase in global instability that led the executive to take this decision.
An ex-FBI informant has been charged with lying over alleged Hunter Biden's potential criminal activity in Ukraine. The special counsel accused Alexander Smirnov of lying to authorities about a multi-million-dollar bribery scheme allegedly involving President Joe Biden, his son Hunter, and a Ukrainian energy company in 2010. They both allegedly received $5 billion each to protect the company from an investigation being held by the Ukrainian General Prosecutor's Office.
The 74th edition of Berlin Film Festival Berlinale has kicked off. Film critics have been embracing the diversity of this year's film selection, which is lauded by many to be as contrasting as the international jury. This year's jury is presided over by none other than award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o. 20 productions this year are in competition for the sought-after main prize, the Golden Bear. This is the last year for film festival directors Carlo Chatrian and Marietta Rissenbeek, who are stepping down after 5 years at the helm.
La Cocina, Cuckoo and Small Things Like These are amongst the most anticipated films this year. Small Things Like These stars Cillian Murphy as the main character and was executively produced by Matt Damon. The jury is going to have a very exciting time this year, choosing which film is awarded the Golden Bear.
The opening night already saw fans queuing for hours ahead of the world premiere of Irish drama Small Things Like These. The red carpet has already been the scene of 3 protests, including No to Racism and No to Far-Right Party, Alternative for Germany. It's fair to say this may be the most political edition of the Berlinale in decades.
Bilbao's Guggenheim Museum in Spain is soon to feature some pop art. The exhibition Signs and Objects Pop Art from the Guggenheim Collection features works from the holdings of the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum in New York. The exhibition showcases the development of the pop art movement, which emerged in the late 1950s in England and later in 1960 in the United States.
Pop art is really characterized by its use of mass media and visual imagery from popular culture, so drawing on billboards, advertisements, and newspapers.
Pop art's heyday lasted until around the 80s. At the time, society was mainly characterized by consumerism. The exhibit is showing at Bilbao's Guggenheim Museum until the 15th of September.
Getting close to nature is the mantra of photographer and filmmaker Vincent Munier. He has traveled to the world's most remote regions, from the North and South Poles to Tibet, snapping shots of the wildest animals on the planet. His new exhibition at Lyon's Musée des Confluences is a dive into the forests he grew up with in eastern France.
J'ai appris en effet l'affût et je peux y passer des jours, des heures. Je suis totalement possédé par cette rencontre, par cette envie de mettre en avant les bêtes en quelque sorte qu'on a un peu mis de côté finalement. C'est ça qui m'affecte et qui m'attriste le plus. C'est à quel point on a avancé un peu en solitaire, quoi. C'est l'homme et les animaux un peu en spectacle ou en accessoire, mais pas au même rang. Il y a cette position un peu verticale qui m'agace énormément, quoi. Cette position hégémonique de notre espèce sur les autres.
The wild world is being gnawed away by man to the detriment of the flora and fauna. Vincent Munier wants to showcase the beauty of the planet, whether it comes from the other side of the world or close to home.
Ça fait longtemps quelques années que je voyage plus, et pourtant c'est mon métier de normalement. Mais pour essayer de montrer qu'on peut avoir une émotion aussi intense face à une panthère des neiges qu'un lynx, un chat sauvage ou même des fois une petite mésange. Il y a des choses qui paraissent tout à fait ordinaires et qui, quand on fait hyper attention, prend le temps et que tout est rassemblé, la lumière et tout, et ça devient extraordinaire.
The En Forêt exhibition is open to the public until 2025 at the Musée des Confluences in Lyon.